Good day, everyone. It's Alicia Hariprasad here, and I'm doing yet again another lesson. So today, my topic of teaching is going to be on the tenses, and I know it can be very confusing because obviously there's present, past, and future tense, and some people think, oh well, that's very easy. But then there's further broken down into three more sections, and I'm going to go into detail, but I am going to start from the very beginning. So let's get into it then. So a tense basically tells us something that is happening in time. So for example, did it happen in the past? Is it happening in the present? Or will it happen in the future? Right? So present tense is basically describing something that is happening right now, this year, today, or in recent times. A past tense is basically describing something that has already happened, and future tense is describing something that is going to happen. Now, the tenses are further broken down into the following three: simple, continuous, and perfect forms. So I think one of the easiest ways in identifying these types of tenses is to look at the verb. The verb is what changes in order to identify the tense and the form. So whether it's simple or continuous, right? So let's look at some examples very quickly. She does not like cheese. That is simple present tense. Again, another example. They usually swim after school. We finish school at 1:30. The bus leaves the station at 2:00. Now observe the simple past tense and how it changes. Same concept, different tense. Same form as well, right? Example 1, she did not like cheese. Number 2, they usually swam after school. Number 3, we finished school at 1:30. Number 4, the bus left the station at 2:00. Now this is simply indicating that it's something that has already happened, but we're still using the same form. So, using the same examples, let's look at simple future tense, right? Number 1, she will not like cheese. Number 2, they will usually swim after school. Number 3, we shall, or you could say we will, finish school at 1:30. Number 4, the bus will leave the station at 2:00. So you can see here that it is the future tense in a simple form. And how we can differentiate these tenses now is through the verbs and the way in which it is constructed in the sentence. So it's telling us that, hey, something that had already happened, this is how we can indicate it. Something that will happen. And normally in the future tense, it's very easy because there's normally the word will or shall that's in the sentence. So in the continuous tense, now this is the second form that I described at the beginning. In a continuous tense, it's basically showing an action that is ongoing or continuous. I always tell the kids, normally there's an ing in this form. So it's very easy to identify it with the ing. But remember, your verbs is what gives way of what tense it is in most cases. So we're looking at the present continuous tense, and this one's quite straightforward. Most of the time, the auxiliary verbs are like am, are, is, and basically more or less that, right? So I'm going to use some examples there very quickly. I am eating vegetable soup. We are dancing outside, right? I am writing a story for my teacher. Looking at the past continuous, look what changes, right? I was eating vegetable soup. We were dancing outside. I was writing a story for my teacher. Looking at the future continuous, right? Number 1, example, I shall, or you can say I will, be eating vegetable soup. Example 2, we shall or we will be dancing outside. And the third example, I shall or I will be writing a story for my teacher. So you can see here, the will or the shall indicates future tense, and it's always the verb and what comes around it that gives you the idea as to what tense it is. Remember that. Now we're on to the third form, and this is the final form that I'm going to discuss in terms of the three tenses, right? And this is now the perfect tense. So basically we're looking first at the present perfect tense. Basically it is something that normally in the present perfect tense has the auxiliary verbs of has and have. It's much easier to identify it like that. So an example of that could be, he has traveled to London. We have finished the project. Now looking at the past perfect tense, he had traveled to London. We had finished the project. And then finally, looking at this, the future perfect tense, let's look at those examples again. Number one example, we will have traveled to London. Number two, we shall, or you could say we will, have finished the project. So you can see that the auxiliary verbs really give us a clue as to which tense it is, and the verbs really do give us an idea of which form it is. So I hope this video finds you well, and I hope that it has been informative. You will hear from me soon again.